I think it's a great point. I think principles is often confused with my principles.
Yeah.
There's the principles of nature.
Yeah.
Those deep, unarguable truths like we have muscles.
Yeah.
Gravity exists. The laws of physics, Newton's laws. So those unarguable, we can't discuss them. There's a principle, and then there's my principles.
Yeah.
I would like to be a good dad.
Yeah.
I like people to have a squat, or I like people to run fast, or they should have aerobic conditioning.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem within the fitness is we have a big mix between my principles and the principles.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it's my opinion, it's not a principle, it's one of my principles.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's just in the terminology of introducing or delivering a course. Are we dealing with one of my principles here, or are we dealing with a principle?
Yeah, are we doing undefinable principle? Because like I said, I think a lot of people are almost trying to push their beliefs or their perceptions on how they're steering the industry. But like what you always taught me, well, what a true principle, i.e., let's talk about like ground force reaction, how the foot reacts to the floor. You can't deny that gravity's there all the time. And,
Exactly.
Those are principles to me, because those are things that are unchangeable. We can't change that within our environment, but everything else we can. So
yeah, I mean, what you learn in your physics lessons at school pretty much are for the most part, principles, and pretty much everything else is an opinion. And
you see that because it is a common part of the industry, in a sense of people say they've got principles, but then their principles, like I said, is an opinion of like, oh, well, I believe in making people stronger. I believe in realigning, just making people more flexible. I believe in making people. I'm a chiropractor. I deal with bones. I'm a physiotherapist. I deal with muscles, and everyone just has their. Like, and I'll generalise a few of the things there, but like people have a camp of I work on this part of the body. I work on this part of the body.
Exactly.
But the principles are, well, it's all of it.
Yeah.
It's all. It's not one component of it. It's all of it. And that's the principles. Whereas, when it's one component, that's this is my principles. I like to work on this aspect.
Yeah, exactly. I see it all the time. I mean, I was talking to a client recently about nutrition protocols, because that tends to be one of those things that people will just argue about, like religion and politics, and I try not to get involved in, because they were talking about principles of diet and so forth, but they weren't really principles. They were opinions, they were beliefs, and I think that's where we get a little bit confused, and that's where you start confusing the client as well, because they're like, I've been told this is fact and this is fact, whereas actually, you've got to look at, is that person delivering you information from one aspect of it, or are they delivering the whole piece? And I think that's where you guys always taught me to make sure that am I looking at the whole facet of that human, from how they feel inside and how what their relationship as a person is, and what their relationship is outside, but also how their body moves, and then all your your principles that are always there, which are gravity and everything else that we spoke about a minute ago, and now things, but some beliefs and some are actual principles. And people in the industry tend to like buzzwords at the moment. It was functional for ages. Everyone was functional. Now everyone's suddenly coming up with these principles. But ultimately, like you said, just go back to your science textbooks. Like, what is this? Are you talking about someone's belief, or are you talking about something that is science fact, something that's unchangeable, and the way you look at multiple facets? I found in the past, when I got treated by you guys a long time ago, I'd had like what people call shin splints for a long time, and you didn't look at my shin initially. You looked at my foot, you looked at my hip, you looked at the whole chain. Whereas I'd traditionally gone to physiotherapists and people in the past, and I'd had the insoles in, I'd had basic exercises to help strengthen the ankle and so forth. But it wasn't until I looked at my whole biomechanical system and me as a person that I truly fixed my pain and I got rid of it. Because from there, you guys allowed me to kind of know what was going on with my mechanics and how I needed to fix that. Whereas before, I'd always been told from a foot specialist or an ankle specialist that this was this and this was that, but they were never looking at the whole picture, because there was massive chinks in my chain all the way around, and it was only until you guys fixed those things that the pain started to go. Before that, I was spending lots of money and time all the time buying these protocols and so forth, and I suppose those people that were delivering that information to me were giving me stuff based on principles, but on specific parts of the system rather than the whole system itself.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest issues is people are confusing strategy, and the strategy comes from the person in front of us. And that's what strategy am I going to apply? So I've got this work case or this toolbox here with everything I've ever learned or read or put in. That's in that toolbox here, and that's my strategy. And then I put my understanding of my principles here, which is those unarguable, deep truths, no opinion based, and then I hop over here and I've got my toolbox and I've got you. And what I've got to try and do is I've got to try and search through my toolbox based on what I know to be true, and then try to say, okay, how do I then affect or have the best influence or create, as we like to create the best environment for your body based on this moving forward, and ultimately that will then lead me to a technique. I'll end up doing something. I think the biggest issue we have is a lot of things will start over here and then try to work this way.
Yeah.
So they'll try and say, right, okay, I want to base everything around a squat.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to try and fit this athlete into a box which looks like a squat.
Yeah.
And then that squat is going to, that then limits my toolbox to sort of this corner.
Yeah.
And then when I've got all these three things here, well, I've seen a little bit of results, or I've seen some progress here. Let's say my principle is then everybody has to squat.
Yeah.
You know, rather than working the other way down the spectrum and saying, okay, well, what do I know?
Yeah.
And working this way, harshly said, it is very easy because it just makes everything so simple. It puts it down into 3 or 4 key core exercises and makes life a lot easier for us as coaches.
Yeah.
When we go this way, we sort of open up a big box because we sort of say, well, because of nature, everything's possible.
Yeah.
And then the athlete with a strategy and a toolbox here becomes very confusing. But then we have this millions and millions of options open to us here of what we're going to choose ultimately for our athletes. So I think that's where the confusion comes from. I think where when we go this way up, it tends to be very opinion based, very opinion driven, and then we need to somehow justify this.
Yeah.
So we'll just say squatting. Everyone needs to squat is our principle.
Yeah.
But that's a principle. That's their principle. That's not a principle. And for me, there's a huge difference between a principle and my principle.
And that's what the industry, it still drives the industry now, is that people come on and they go, oh, here's this exercise to help fix this muscle in the body. So everyone does this exercise.
Yeah.
So then everyone in the gym, you go along, and everyone's doing banded walks like this, everyone's pulling this, pushing this.
Yeah.
They're all doing the same exercise. But then if you actually do, then you actually figure out and go, who's actually getting that effect? Someone tells you that they feel in a completely different part of the body to where you were told that exercise is supposed to work and what it's supposed to fix.
Yeah.
And it does nothing. And then when it's done nothing and you've given them all the cues in the world to try and get that part of the body working and it doesn't work, you've now got nowhere to go because it came from it was the technique, which was somebody's principle of this is how this works, so we do it like this. But then when it doesn't work, it's like, you had no principles, which is why that has now you've got nowhere to go. You've hit a roadblock, and now you don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, your training wasn't based on principles. Your training was based on a system, and a system that only you know how to deliver. But once you work out that system, you haven't got anything left to deliver because that's all you understood. Yeah, and I think that's what you guys really hammered home to me for a long time as a trainer. But no, is that what you believe or is that what you see? What can you see? What can you see? And then we looked at it, and it was a difficult journey, and I didn't get it all. Like, by all means, I'm probably 10% there, if that, with you guys and the education that you've got to offer. But it gave me that little bit of ability to see that actually maybe my toolbox needs to be this big rather than this big, because you can go out there now and buy systems and tools, which are fantastic. Everything's great. If you're empowering somebody and you can help them be a better version of themselves or help them be happier so they can be fit, great. But if you truly want to fix somebody and you've got somebody in pain, then you've got to know where your limits lie and where to hand it off to somebody else, which is why most of my remote programming clients all have got on there, do your Jowsey stuff, do your Jowsey stuff. It's become a word within itself.
But officially a verb.
Yeah, exactly. You should become language within CrossFit.